What's happening, everybody? TK here, TK and Drinks. We got another Tuesday. Oh, actually, it's Wednesday. We got a Wednesday night live video coming at you this week. And tonight, we're going to be speaking with Mark and Carrie, I believe, a couple cats from Aegirs Den Meadery up in Palmetto, Maine. Um, Not exactly quite sure where that's at, but I'm sure they'll fill us in. So they were gracious enough to send me a few bottles, or a few cans and a bottle. We'll go over all that stuff once they pop in. Looks like they just showed up here. So let's bring them in and let them tell you about everything themselves. Super excited. Enjoy getting to talk to people from faraway places. And Maine is about as far away in the continental United States as you can get from anybody. I guess Florida is the opposite. Hey, what's going on? How you doing, brother?
Good. Yourself?
I'm hanging in there, my man. Oh, looks like my
Where are you at these
Bluetooth is
days?
not working. What's that?
Where are you at these days? I know you were in Georgia for a little bit.
Oh, I am just outside Charleston, South Carolina, in a
Nice
tiny
area.
little in a tiny little town of about 400 people.
Nice. You're enjoying it there?
Actually, yeah, we're really digging South Carolina. Like the thing that really surprised me the most, I guess I shouldn't say surprised, but I will because it seems fitting. Like how everything looks so like much like it is on TV. It's like all these big, like weeping trees, like hanging with moss, and like the bayou and the swamp, whatever, comes like right up to the highway and stuff when you're driving down the road. It's very stereotypical, but it's really cool. I'm really digging it. It's such different from living in Arizona and Washington my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah, is that the
So
Spanish moss?
I have no idea, but that sounds about right. She's these giant, long clusters of. I mean, it's like I said, it's very quintessential Southern whenever you think about it. So yeah, it probably is that Spanish moss you're talking about, but it's just really cool. It has this like very unique vibe. Like we were just in Savannah, and I really dug the vibe of Savannah, with all the old like plantation style houses and everything, just right on the road. It's freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So it probably looks a mite different from where you guys are at up there in basically the heart of the pine forests of Maine.
I wouldn't say we're right in the heart of it, but central Maine, Palermo.
Palermo.
And
Okay.
yep, yeah, we're more coastal. We used to be a lot more in central Maine when we were in Pittsfield. We moved the meadery about 18 months ago.
I,
And we
I
moved closer to family, and now we're a lot more on the coast.
got you. And probably a lot more people out that way versus where you were at before.
Actually, no, less.
Well, this town,
Yeah,
Really?
this
this
town.
town is much smaller. Like, what is it, 1,000 or 1,200 people in Palermo?
Whoa.
I don't even think it's that
Um,
many.
but we're between Augusta, which is the state capital, and Belfast,
Got you.
which is a pretty
So you guys so are you on more of a, even though your town's a little smaller, but you're on more of a like a traveled path, so to speak?
hmm yeah, a major thoroughfare. Route 3 is
There you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
So how does that work? Like running a meadery in a town of less than 1,000 people. That's got to be a very trying nights at the tap room, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even being in a larger town, I mean, there's not a lot of meaderies in the state of Maine. We
Oh,
have a shit ton of breweries, but there's only three of us in the entire state. So
which is
need for everybody is very, very rare, and we're always teaching people.
lots of advocacy still.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Thankfully, the population is a lot higher in the summertime.
yeah.
Lots of
Yeah,
tourists.
yeah, that always helps out. And just think that you guys have three meaderies up there, and like you said, in the summer you get a lot more seasonal. There's states down here in the south that, I mean, I don't think Mississippi has a single meadery in it. I mean, maybe one. I think Queen's Reward might be in Mississippi, but I think and they're relatively new. So you guys been around for a couple years, I believe, right?
Yeah,
3.5.
yeah, 3.5.
Yeah. So you guys being up there, and then like you said, a couple other cats. I think it's cool that the community up there can support supports you guys, and you just came from a different town, you said, about a year and a half ago.
Yes.
We were
So
in
how was that?
Pittsfield.
How was that doing the changeover and everything kind of during all the baloney that was going on?
Well, I mean, at that point, because the day we were going to open our tasting room in Pittsfield, the governor shut down all tasting rooms in the state of Maine.
So many of those
we
stories.
we ended up never actually opening the tasting room because it was such a small space that even when we were allowed to reopen, we could only have one person in the tasting room, and that was only if neither one of us was in there as well by square footage regulations. So
we'll set everything on the table. You go drink it. Let us know how you like it, and we'll. Yeah. Oh no, no.
That led us through the doorway.
So I mean, we were in the basement of an old schoolhouse, so we couldn't do any of the outside things that everybody else was doing to get by for COVID. So we focused on distribution. We started pushing out more, got it into more locations, and then when we moved, now we're on the first floor, which means we don't have to carry things up and down a small flight of stairs. So we have bigger tanks, bigger equipment.
Bigger doors.
Yeah, bigger doors. We can get pallets in and out. We don't, yeah. And in the basement, everything was hand carried up and down a narrow flight of stairs. So.
Bet you built some good quads and calves doing that, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, moving the half barrel kegs up and down a set of stairs got old very quickly.
And if it was an old school, go ahead.
Yankee ingenuity.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll bet with it being an old schoolhouse, those weren't like, nice, wide, modern stairs, probably like short, narrow, tall stairs.
Yeah, they were scary. It was through a bulkhead.
Yeah.
Oh. So now you got height restrictions on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the main access in, but it attached right to the backside of our space. So for us, it was the easiest way because we could go straight in. There wasn't turns or anything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, stairs that way. So.
What is it that led you guys to pick a schoolhouse? I mean, take us back to the beginning. How did it start, and how did you end up in a schoolhouse? That sounds so unique.
Well, we were originally looking at a few places in Pittsfield, one of them being retrofitting our house and putting in a full tasting room and, creating a basement essentially.
Oh.
So all we had was a crawl space, and that was getting to be very pricey to make that happen. And we knew the people that owned the building, they were renting out the space, the price was right. So it was a great place to get started with it without taking on a huge entry-level investment.
Oh, that makes sense then. I mean, you always, when you're putting a business together like that, you always have to, make those decisions. You want to go and try to spend your money on building a new place, get a place that's already developed. You go with land and yada yada. To find something that's cool like that works for you guys. I think repurposing old structures is really an underutilized thing that we do in society. So many times people just let them go by the wayside and turn into nothing. And to repurpose something like that is such a cool idea. I love when I see that.
Well, we did it again. We moved into an old chicken barn. So it's an old chicken barn. It's a 200-foot long building, and we rent 60 feet of it. But in Maine for a while, there were these very long chicken barns throughout the state, and they basically raised chickens for everybody.
Gotcha.
But these days, most of them have become just storage facilities, or they're falling in. My father-in-law and his brother have this place for their garlic farm, so when we were moving out here, we had the option to rent a space, and we gutted it, insulated it, and got everything set.
Yep, we have a commercial kitchen. We also have our farm here. So we have our animals out back, and we have our garden that provides some of the food that we serve in the meadery. We do weekend meals and farm-to-table dinners, like 4-course farm-to-table dinners with mead pairings.
That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. Going through you guys' social media these past, couple of weeks since we've been talking and stuff, I'm seeing your guys' posts, and you guys have some of the most unique and intriguing meat and food pairing combinations that I see out there. You guys, doesn't seem like any of these dinners you ever do the same thing, and it's a broad category. I've seen meatloaf on there. I saw look like Asian style dumplings, like steamed dumplings on there. I saw like a Irish. It was a stout, like a beef pot pie, but like with stout made with
Yep.
an oatmeal stout. Like, I mean, the
Yep.
whole gamut of stuff. Fajita night. Like, who comes up with the ideas, and who you guys are the cooks yourselves? And
We cook for on the weekends, but when we have our four course meals, we bring in a chef, and we work with her to do the recipes, and we find recipes and work on those, change them up, and then she comes in the day of the event and makes it all happen.
that's so cool. And it's all right there at the meadery. It's, you know, so you're doing it at a separate space or anything like that. It's all right in the house, in house.
Yeah.
Right, and we use as much as we possibly can from either our farm or local farms.
Nice.
And
And
we're
we're
hoping to try to support them and filling a gap for our community in the wintertime.
For sure. I saw you guys had some mushrooms that you did turned into a risotto. Are those foraged like off of your guys' property and stuff?
Now, there's a mushroom farm about 15 minutes away that grew those.
I got a cousin, long distant cousin that lives over in the Maine area, and that's what his gig is he forages mushrooms and sells them at like farmers markets and stuff like that. I'm like, I had no idea somebody could do that and like as like their gig and stuff, but seems to be fairly successful at it. It's intriguing and mesmerizing. We're definitely planning on getting up there and visiting. I don't know when it's exactly going to be, but I definitely got to get up there and check out this whole foraging thing that's going on up there.
Yeah, no, there's quite a few people that forage. We do it a little bit, trying to get more into it, but
Sure.
yeah, there's a lot that is already growing out there, and the fact that we're in the state are able to do some of that stuff is pretty awesome.
And what do you guys keep animals on your farm, or is it solely a fruits and vegetables farm, or what are you doing with that?
So we have Highland cows and pigs on the farm.
Well,
So a lot of the meat that we serve is actually our own. So the beef and stout pie was our beef.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes.
The stout
That's
came from the brewery down the road.
got, of course, like you're saying, supporting local and everything. And you said you get all your ingredients just from basically the surrounding neighboring towns and stuff. And it's all,
yeah,
everything's
just
local.
Yeah, we're looking for a source for milk right now. There's a lot of them around.
we've got a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, we use Smiling Hill, which is from Maine.
Yeah, and then
Um,
yeah, we just found another one, and we actually did our test batch this weekend. We're making homemade ravioli, so we made our own ricotta cheese. We found a raw milk producer that we were able to get our hands on some milk. So
Yes. See, that leads me to believe good things that I'm gonna come across quality and love and care when I get into one of these. So,
so that one you're
how,
holding, actually, the blueberries came from a mile down the road from where we're sitting right now.
now that's freaking awesome. How did you guys get into the mead making game? What made you guys choose mead all those years ago? Did you start off home brewing or?
Go ahead.
So it I started making wine with my family about 25 years ago.
Okay, I
So
read
I've been
that
doing
online. Yeah,
Yeah, so I've been doing it since I was a wee lad. And then
gotcha.
when we got married almost 11 years ago, we were making wine as well. And one of our buddies, both of our yards would go yellow with dandelions, so we decided we were going to do a dandelion wine off where we each made dandelion wine. Well, we
Yes.
were on a no white sugar kick, and we used honey at the time and didn't really know much about mead other than we've heard of it. Didn't really know the specifics on it. But ours came out as a dandelion mead. So it was much darker, more amber. Theirs looked like a white wine, and that was when we started diving into what the differences was. And one of the guys I worked with at the time was opening a homebrew store, so he kind of explained we were making mead and kind of helped me learn more about it. And then from there, we were homebrewing. We made the dandelion a few times. We started making other ones. We did a red clover mead. We did a
Whoa.
sweet clove mead. We've done, we did
First tip.
spruce tip mead.
Nice.
We've done rhubarb. Pretty much anything that we can, kind of play with, we have. In fact, the first time I made rhubarb, the rhubarb was dropped off for a pie, but Carrie was out of town, so I made mead instead, and I still hear about it every now and again. So
Awesome.
We really appreciated that, honey's lower on the glycemic index. It has some beneficial properties for, allergies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was attractive to us because of that. And,
Sure.
You can do so much with mead. And so we just, both of us being creative people, we just kind of jumped on that wagon and kept experimenting. And our friends were happy to be tasters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you get around a home brewer, you definitely get to take that, reap that benefit of trying everything, whether you want it or not. They're gonna, here, try this, try this, and it's good when you have flavorful, tasty stuff to help that process along. So
and it helps that it's the oldest alcoholic beverage known to man, dated back so far, 7,000 BC.
Yeah,
so that kind of appealed to us too. It's ancient.
Yeah, there's even some speculation that it's older than that, depending on what part of the world we're talking about and stuff. It's freaking. I think it's awesome. I ever since I got into drinking mead, I think all the different iterations of where mead came from and everything is one of the uniquenesses of it. How'd you guys settle on being Viking themed? There's so many Viking themed meaderies out there already. You feel that it was like in good company, or were you trying to? Or is it like family heritage, or how'd that happen?
Not necessarily a direct line on that one. I think at this point we all kind of have a little Viking in us, just because of the way they traveled.
Sure.
But I was always into Norse mythology as a kid and kind of drawn to that anyway. I've had Thor's hammer around my neck for probably 15 years now, so it was kind of something that I was already kind of a part of, and it just kind of evolved into that kind of mentality for it, and we've had a lot of fun just kind of helping bring back some of those cool old style things with it. So we have the artwork with most of our labels have Aegir, and so that one is Aegir right there.
Yep.
He's the master brewer for the Norse gods.
Right.
So for our cans, to keep it easy for people, we kept him as the centerpiece and changed the color in the background so you could kind of tell what the different varieties were. Whereas our bottles, we actually work with an artist and we do different bottle labels for each of them. And most of them is Aegir with one of his daughters brewing, because the legend was he brewed with his 9 daughters. That one, actually, Aegir is up in the background. He's the one kind of looking over the whole thing in the cloud, because this one is our version of the blood mead. So we used it as a storyboard. So that's actually Cavassier in the front, the 2 dwarves that killed him and made a blood out of his mead, the 2 eagles in the background when Odin stole the mead back from the giant and flew back to Asgard with it.
There you go, man. Now this one, I haven't seen a whole lot of people using aronia berries and lingonberries in their Vikings blood style mead, so I'm super intrigued to know how that one's going to be. So when you got done with got done with, because you're probably still making all these cool like herbal wines and metheglins and whatnot. What was the first one you took commercial? Was that just the straight up just traditional mead, or did you have a whole other line that you were going with first?
We started with the sessions.
Okay.
So because they have a shorter timeline, start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
We made those at the same time we made around a bottle strengths, but we age our bottle strengths for 9 to 12 months. So we started them simultaneously and used the sessions to get out there in the world, and then kind of let our other stuff age off and catch up, and then started pushing the bottles out.
And we started with 4 or 6.
I think 4 of the sessions, and then quickly jumped up to way more than we probably should have right in the beginning. But we just had a lot of fun playing with the different flavors.
11 varieties of sessions and 11 varieties of bottles right now.
Straight out the gate.
Well, no, currently that's
currently up there.
Developed. We don't always have those in stock, but out the gate was 4 varieties of sessions.
Gotcha. And like you said, the still stuff has been aged for at least a year or around a year.
Yeah, about that.
Wow, man, that's some investment, like you're saying. That you got, no wonder, like you said, push the session stuff out so you can get some money coming in to support your barrel aging habit. All right, let's give this one a shot. So this is Maine wildflower honey, I'm assuming. You guys get varietals up there?
We have a few. Most of what we use is wildflower because there are a few people that can actually do the varietals. So especially for our sessions, we can get the wildflower and the 55-gallon drums.
Yeah.
And that's my preferred method of using it for the sessions. And then we do one with the Japanese knotweed, which is a dark honey. We use it for our boucher. And then for our commercial dandelion one we used goldenrod and mixed it in with vanilla beans and dandelion. Added some floral notes for that.
That sounds delicious too. And
Yeah,
I do like
that one flew off the shelf pretty quick.
Oh, sure it did. I do like each can's got a little story about the flavor profile on the back of it too. Before I get into this one, I did have to give you some shit for that, brother. I think you took the award for the smallest font in the world on a label right there. Like, I'm sitting here with like my Coke bottle glasses, like I can barely read that and everything. So definitely kudos to you for cramming the most words on a label I've ever seen.
Yeah, that one has the whole story of the legend, and we took
a lot out.
a 10-page story, and we tried to condense it down to about 100 words, which even still kind of made it hard.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, you're definitely making it fit on there, but I just thought it was quite the font choice you chose on there in shortness, man. That's but
good feedback.
It's cool because it's good.
That's good feedback.
Yeah,
put a magnifying glass around each of the bottles. Gets a maybe
exactly. Definitely did that. All right, so let's give this one a shot. So this is a session traditional, sitting at like what, 7%? Is that what I saw in there?
6%.
6%. And this is it bone dry, or it says dry on the can? So
it's bone dry.
Ooh, yeah, that's definitely dry. Tart and tangy. Definitely get some of that honey presence still in there, but certainly not anywhere close semi-sweet or anything like that. What kind of yeast did you use for this? It's got a unique like ester profile to it.
EC 1118.
See, that's why I'm picking that up, because I have one going right now with that. I'm like, it's unique but familiar, and this is my first time using it, so now I know I can, with some type of esters I can expect out of there. That one's pretty good. That's a nice daily driver. Get home at the end of the day, crack that open, as opposed to, it's actually, I'd say, comparable to like a dry cider or something, with the amount of like tartness that it has to it, a little bit of astringency in there.
Yep.
But yeah, like the honey character comes through, which I like.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I say we get a lot of the cider drinkers kind of tend towards that one as well. We do a canned version of our sizer, which is quite literally a half cider, half mead mixed together during one. And that is also a nice way to tie in for some of the cider drinkers. Now,
do you guys get the apples again there locally, or do you guys press your own apples? How does that all come about?
We don't press our own. So it used to be the town north of where we were in Pittsfield. We go and get all of our cider and our perry right from them. They press it all, and we just get the juice and use it from there.
Right on. What's the newest flavor that you guys have going there?
The newest one would be the Dwarves Conspiracy.
Oh, okay. That must be why I didn't see too many pictures of it online. I was trying to find it to see when the release was. I was like, oh, maybe they haven't come out with it yet.
Oh. I mean, we released it for the first farm to table dinner,
which was last October.
Yeah.
Okay.
The artist is in Ukraine, and she did the Wolves Pursuit label as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love the artwork on the label. Is is awesome.
Phenomenal.
I love the color scheme, the background, and like you said, you got Irish space on here, and yeah, no, that's legit. So what's coming down the pipeline for Aegir's Den?
Well, I mean, oh God.
We're experimenting with currants.
Ooh, those are always fun.
Yeah, trying to figure out which gap we have in our lineup right now for something else to add in with the currants.
Who's the flavor director over there? The maven of flavors.
We actually bounce between the two of us.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
We do testers, and we have our friends do blind taste tests and pick their favorites.
Gotcha. Do you guys have like an experimental tap where you just do like a little 5-gallon, 3-gallon thing and do pours or something for the cats that walk in?
We haven't done too much of that for the customers coming in. It's been more of our friend group, just to kind of see where it needs to go.
Okay.
And kind of, yeah. I mean, the most recent release would be the Dwarves Conspiracy, but that one was actually 2 years old before it actually saw a bottle.
Oh wow!
It was almost one before we moved, and during the transformation between the two, it kind of got shoved in a corner and forgotten about while we got the new place set. So it just kind of kept aging off until we were actually ready for it. So yeah, that one came out at 2 years old of age, and then
I love the color on it though.
Yeah, well, we really wanted it to have that nice blood red color, and traditional Scandinavian blood meads use lindenberry as their base, so we really wanted to use that one in there. And then nice. The Aronias, we started growing some on our old farm in Pittsfield, but the brand was Viking Aronia berries, so we figured that we should try to bring that into something, and it seemed like a nice fitting balance in with the lindenberries.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even bother with that. They just go with a cherry. You call it.
Cherry and hibiscus are really common ones too.
Yeah, well, especially with what's their names out of was it Denmark or whatever, Danskmod?
Yep.
Or however you pronounce it. Yeah, their Viking blood, in my personal opinion, left a lot to be desired at like 19.5%, tasting like a whiskey fortified hibiscus syrup drink. But if people like it, then
they make
hey,
some heavy ones.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly, brother. That is putting it lightly, in my opinion. But they have to be. There's got to, the light is on and burning brightly for the masses, because that stuff sells like freaking hotcakes, like all the time, everywhere.
Those clay bottles they're really intriguing. I mean, they just draw you right in.
I have to give you that. They or give them that. That is definitely a super clever marketing technique. And plus, like when I opened it up, I was expecting something very much this color or darker. When I pulled it out, something like Ken Schramm's, red or something.
Yep.
But then it comes out this like very light, like hibiscus red pink color, and I was like, oh, that took me for a loop the first time.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Actually, we just had some the other night, and I'd had it before we started our meadery, and yep, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be that color, but you can't tell because you can't see through the bottle.
Right, and I haven't had any of their other ones. I just had the Viking's blood the one time, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm good. Now, to be fair, I haven't come across any in the wild. I mean, at like any bottle shares or anything, because I definitely come across another open bottle that's put in front of me. I'll definitely give it a shot. I'm not, I turn down nothing but my collar when it comes to that. So I wanted to get into at least one of these other meads. What do you suggest? The blueberry or the lemonade? Or you want me to crack open that Dwarves Conspiracy?
You might as well crack into the Dwarves. It's very different than the other two. I mean, so for the blueberry, I mean, we take our base traditional and we press the blueberries and add the juice in afterwards. So you get a lot more blueberry notes that stick around. And that's also the only sweetness that comes into that session is just from the blueberry juice.
Okay, so it's on the drier side too, just off dry.
Yep. And then our lemonade take is a semi-sweet, and we basically mixed honey and lemon juice together, and we had about 6 of us standing around the mixer, and we mixed some together and had somebody taste it and, okay, what do you think? And we kept going until we found the right ratio. And the goal is for that to taste like the kid on the corner's lemonade, but for adults. And dangerous is the most common descriptor of that one, because there is no alcohol flavor on that. It just tastes like lemonade. It goes down really easy, especially in the summertime. And yeah, I think dangerous is the most common word we've gotten when we've been out on the like the on tap scene there with those ones.
Yeah. And what was that event you guys were just at the other day in Portland? That looked like a beer festival or some sort of beer convention or something?
Yeah. So there's a group that they call them on taps, and they kind of do them all throughout the area. And that one was in southern Maine, and I mean, we're starting to expand into the southern part of the state. So we wanted to make sure we were down there so that we can start kind of getting people to realize what we have and what we have to offer.
Portland on tap.
Portland, anybody in the area specifically, if you're into that stuff, definitely go check that out. It looked like a very cool event. Kudos to you for the fiber tape on there. Like, I know some people might say, well, it's aesthetically unpleasing to have a little bit of something. It was like, you know how easy that was to just not have to go get my wine opener and get the knife and cut it off and like that. So.
And it must be a lot warmer down there. In the colder months up here, the beeswax doesn't come off as nicely as it just did for yours.
Oh yeah, I had a couple drips I was playing with earlier. I was like, man, it's so malleable. This is so like different than the wax that everybody else uses. Maybe they're not using 100% beeswax or synthetics. I don't know. Third.
Yeah,
probably paraffin.
There you go.
Yep.
Very well could be, but yeah, I love it. All right. Save all this wax to play with later, because I'm sure it's great for my skin.
Well,
all right.
Well, hopefully it coming in a 750 bottle is still works for you. I know. I saw the one with maniacal. I know you get a little touchy with the 750. So
to be honest with you, it's only an indicator in certain situations. The fact that you guys go out of your way to only have a handful of your stuff in the bottles is, I think a good indicator. A year, 2 years, you said in the barrel. I guess I'm just surprised that you'd want to give it out in 7.50s when you could, market it differently and make a little bit more profit off of it potentially. But maybe the 3.75 sell less frequently. I don't know.
Well, I mean, coming from a wine background, most wines are bottled in 750s.
Yeah.
And actually, when we started the other two meaderies, all their stuff was in 750s. It was kind of just that was the standard out there. The new meadery that just opened, she's the only one that's doing straight up 375s. Everybody else did 750s. Gotcha. So really, until we started looking out more into the mead world, I didn't really see a lot of 375s for things other than dessert wines out there.
Gotcha. Well, if I'm being completely honest, there's one thing that scares me more than the 750 bottles, and that's the Viking branding, because so many of the Viking brands that I've had in the past, like the Viking, typically the Viking themed meaderies, not all of them, have like a specific style that they go for. It's the unfiltered, unpasteurized, everything, and it's always like super duper hazy, and usually they're like on the cloying side. To see that you guys are doing something on the dry side in a couple of other places like Brimminghorn, if you know who they are, or Opagard Meadery in Washington State. Now, those are two Viking themed meaderies because they do a variety of things that are dry to sweet and everything. So I'm excited to try this out and see if we can rank this up with the kick-ass stuff. I really dig the aromatic straight away. You can get was it juniper that was in there? Coriander seeds and rosemary.
Yep.
So what made you pick to go with the rosemary and the coriander?
It was
wanted to experiment with herbs, and then the coriander balanced the rosemary out. We thought we had 8 testers for that one?
Yep.
Different herbs and different.
Yeah, definitely
spices.
get the herbaceousness on the nose. You can pick up that rosemary. I haven't had coriander a whole lot ever by itself. I probably should go grab a pinch out of my wife's spice drawer. but it's very pleasing. I like it. It's there's no fusel alcohols to it. The berry notes, that the tartness of the berries come through, but you can get the sweetness from the honey in there. Where does this one fall on the sweetness scale, would you say?
So that one is an off dry.
Is it off dry? I don't know if I saw. Oh, it does have the label on there. I got lost in the coolness. All right, so,
yeah, the B is just above that off dry one, so it lands right in there.
Yeah,
it's,
the cool.
There's a little bit of maple syrup.
I have to
It's
say,
sweet maple syrup made from my father's maple syrup.
there we go. I do appreciate the honey scale, the sweetness scale on the sides of these things. That is very helpful, because a lot of times people don't put that stuff on there, and you just kind of like, oh, well, I guess I can head to Untapped and look, or maybe they'll say on their website, but when it's right on the bottle, that's always appreciated. So just off dry, strong berry presence, nice herbal characteristics to it. Ooh, now that one I do like. I'm a big fan of anything that's method leaning, just based on the uniqueness of it, because so many people out there don't really mess with them, especially with the more, getting away from just basically cinnamon and vanilla, pretty much the biggest ones that you see, and rosemary in there. And rosemary is one that's so easy to overdo, I mean, because it's such a strong flavor. This is very, very, very nice. I'm digging this one a lot. The berries come through right there on the front. You get a little bit of that honey that just kind of takes over and washes over the mid palate, and you can kind of on like the retro and on the aftertaste, you can get the herbal qualities of it. Well done. 2 years in the barrel or whatever was definitely served it justice. Was that an oak barrel, or was it did you just keg age it? Or?
So actually, we don't use any oak at this time. Like I said,
I didn't get any in there.
So we do a barrel alternative. So we use the honeycomb barrel alternatives. So right now we use some oak in most of ours, but then we also have one that we use white ash, and we have another one that we use cherry wood in.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds very intriguing. Tell me more.
So for the white ash, we actually use in our sweet dessert mead. It's a sweet clove. And actually, the white ash kind of gave a little bit of a creaminess to it. So we thought it balanced nicely in with a sweeter mead. And then we use the cherry wood in our sizer. And this year, it actually brought forward some nutty notes that made it all the way through.
Got you. I meant what's this alternative aging thing? I don't know if I've ever heard of that. It's a honeycomb barrel thing?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of options out there. There's the cubes and the chips, which are more common.
Okay.
There's a company in Michigan, Black Swan Barrels, that make barrels or barrel alternatives, and their pattern is a honeycomb. So it's actually cut, like they drill holes into all of it, and it just looks like a long piece with a whole lot of holes in it, kind of a little bit of a honeycomb look to it. So it's a way of barrel aging, but we couldn't get barrels downstairs when we were in our old place, so we had to come up with an alternative. And at this point, we're still using those alternatives, and it'd be nice to get into the barrel program. We're just not ready for that yet, so we use our alternative options.
All those holes give it a lot more surface area.
Got you.
So you get more bang for your buck by putting the one stick with 5 gallons, basically. This is very. I'm really enjoying the back end on it. This is very unique. I'm kind of upset that well, I'm not upset, just disappointed that I opened the bottle without too many people to share it around. I mean, I'll still drink the whole thing. Don't get me wrong. It's not going to go to waste or anything like that. Just I wish I had more people to share it with, because this is really good.
So that's the.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So that just goes into the fermenter or the bright tank or whatever you got it in, and away it goes.
Yep.
After it's fermented, but while it's aging.
Gotcha. Oh, you guys don't ferment with them. Could you ferment with? I know you can ferment with like oak in there, but I don't know if you would.
I mean, you probably could. We just don't.
Yeah.
Just no. Yeah.
Yeah, we've done it before, and just personal preference is to do it afterwards.
Yeah.
But running on the lines of apparently a lot of the other Viking-themed meaderies, we don't add sulfites, we don't filter, we let time and gravity do everything.
Yeah.
So we actually
use a UV light.
Yeah, we use a UV filter to when we're transferring it out of the primary fermentation into secondary, just to help finish off the yeast, so that way it doesn't come back, so we don't have to use sulfites.
Any particular reason you have anything?
Still clear.
Oh yeah, no, this is, it's got a little bit of a haze to it. I'd say it's, off brilliant if we're going to call it, but the session traditional was certainly significantly hazier than this, but this one had 2 years to let a lot of stuff fall out of suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any particular reason you guys against sulfites? Does somebody have a low tolerance or anything? Mama bear. That makes sense.
Yeah, depending on the sulfites being used, it can have an effect. So we went for alternative options just to make it easier for us.
Hey.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I don't like feeling bad when I drink great alcohol, and I don't want any of our customers feeling bad either. Some people don't mind either way.
Yeah.
Some people do.
And to me, I guess it's just more of it seems like such a gamble to not stabilize it, and something that's going to be potentially, because you said you are in distribution and you guys are on Vino shipper, so you're shipping across the country. It's just a big risk, a gamble that y'all take not doing that. But I mean, you know what you're doing. But we got a question here. It says, how long do the honeycomb sticks last for? Oh, sorry about that.
No worry, I was getting ready to type, and then she reminded me I could just talk. They can all hear me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just like barrels, as you use them more, you start to kind of lose some of it. So, I mean, really, it's if we use it when we're using them, we generally use them 2 or 3 times, but the second and third time they have to be insignificantly longer to help pull the flavors that we want.
Gotcha.
And there are some times where after the first run, they just you kind of once you use them a little bit, you kind of realize that there are some that they've sat in, especially if it's, we do one with ghost pepper in it, so that one can't be used for anything else because the ghost pepper would carry on to other things. So some of them get to be one-time use, but generally we get at least a second use out of the honeycombs.
I had a buddy who got peanut butter in his filtration system, and then as Nick's 17 meads tasted like peanut butter, everything.
Oh,
So I can't get away from it. The food pairings and stuff, that is so freaking cool. So who thought of doing the Friday night dinners thing? Because my wife and I have talked about doing a very similar thing, and I love the concept. Actually, it was her idea, so I'm assuming it was probably Mama Bear's idea then.
I mean, we put the commercial kitchen in because when we were moving here, we had the garlic farm and our farm, and we originally put it in just for really more of canning purposes. I mean, obviously you need a commercial kitchen, but our old place's commercial kitchen was basically hand wash sink, mop sink, and a 3-bay sink, and that was enough for it. When we put this one in, we made a facility almost as large as our last meadery, which it was pretty.
Just the kitchen is almost.
Yeah, the kitchen is almost as big as our last meadery. Was. So it was because we wanted to do canning processing for our farm and my father-in-law's farm. So we put in the 3-bay sink, the 2-bay sink, all the stainless tables, the oven, the whole works on it. And then it kind of just made sense that when we had the tasting room opening up, that we should have some food. So we started with food.
And it's a great thing, 2 things to mix, farm and some sort of beverage. There's a lot of farm breweries there, and you serve food while they drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And we enjoy it. We like that we get to be creative. We like that people are happy, and we make this big long community table, so it's like a community supper.
Nice.
And we can also support other businesses by using their products.
Yeah. Do you how many of these have you've been doing them since like October, you said?
Well, yeah, we just had our second one.
Oh, okay.
So the first one was last October, and then we had our second one. a week and a half ago. And we're
Oh,
going to try to do it quarterly for a while and see how that goes. And we
gotcha.
always have a donation recipient. The first one was Domestic Violence Awareness Month is October, and so the domestic violence organization here in Maine, Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence, and then the one for January is Human Trafficking Month, so there's a human trafficking safe house, and so we had someone from there come and talk about their program and
Cool.
gave our donation. April will be our next one, and it's Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault will be the recipient.
Man, you guys are. Is the goal to eventually see if they could work up to a monthly thing, or just leave them quarterly?
We have talked about that, trying to figure out, if the local economy can support that.
True.
So.
But we do the dinner. We do a dinner meal every weekend, which was what you saw of the. So the
fajitas.
The fajitas and the dumplings.
Okay.
Those are just we pick something different and unique each time. Sometimes we never actually made before. I actually the week of the risotto is a little bit off, so we didn't get to do a full tester like we normally do. So we had a quick little one, but we had made something close to a risotto in the past, so that was kind of a nice change of pace on that.
Yeah,
But
we try to do a tester at least ahead of time. It's fun to learn new things.
Yeah, we learned how to make the actual dumpling wrappers the week before that did the dumplings, and did a tester for us to make sure everything was right. And then had that for the dinner weekend.
Okay, so it's two separate things. You guys have Friday night dinners, and then you also have these cool quarterly events where you guys have the big mead and food pairings, and have the recipient for the donations. Okay, now I'm on the same page. That's even cooler. So you do like the risotto, and then like the sweet potato gnocchi that you made and stuff. That was all just for like the standard Friday night menus and stuff like that. So is that for sale there at the Meadery?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 to 8 p.m.
Got you. So you guys have a separate license for that, or how does that all work? Because most of the time I've only seen the meaderies doing like food trucks. I don't think I've ever seen a meadery with like a full in-house kitchen other than like, charcuterie boards and like snacks and stuff. So that's even cooler.
Yeah, we actually put the commercial kitchen is under our farm license. So we've got our Department of Ag license to prepare food.
Got you.
So that lets us make the prepared foods as well as baked goods and do canning stuff as well.
Got you. And canning like preserving stuff, not like canning your meats, because you can do that under your other license or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. So it's the two entities kind of work together in this one. Maine's nice where Department of Ag and Farms can kind of get some of those extra licenses in there for, preparing foods and whatnot.
Okay. And then you guys have, I saw apparel on there, like beanies and stuff. You guys do the yarn or the wool for those and stuff too?
So right now we have some alpaca hats and scarves and mittens. Those are from the New England Alpaca Fiber Pool. We have alpaca fiber.
Very
cool.
We
can retail those items. But we also have our own fiber that I need to work on processing it, in my spare time. That we can make our own garments out of, and which we've sold at markets, farmers markets before. We had our meat, our mead, and our yarn all on the same table at farmers markets for a couple of years.
I love it. Okay, so I'm going to pick your brain for a second then. Have you guys been working with that alpaca fiber for a while? Because I just became aware of like the coolness of alpaca fiber like at the end of last year. We stayed at a couple alpaca farms, and they, clued us in and got to hang out with them and everything like that. I bought an alpaca fiber beanie and ran that thing way too long in the dryer, and now it's like the size of a Cabbage Patch doll. Am I pretty much just boned on that?
Yeah, that's that one is. You got to pass that on to somebody with a smaller head at this point.
I say, yeah, you can just be harsh with the yes. That's yeah, okay. I'll donate that to somebody's infant child then.
Yeah, I mean
If it's felted, you may not be able to stretch it, but if it's not felted, you may be able to wet it down, make sure it gets nice and saturated, set it in a bowl or a sink for like 15 or 20 minutes.
And try to
then
stretch it over my noggin.
Or over a bowl that's just a little bit bigger than your noggin.
Yeah.
And
I don't got any bowls that big.
Put it on a towel and roll it in the towel to get, some of the wetness out, and then put it on the bowl and just leave it there till it dries. And if that doesn't work, then give it away.
I like that idea before. I do like the idea of, upcycling it to somebody, but I'd rather save it for myself because it's freaking awesome. But all right. So you guys have alpaca up there? Like you said, there's a collective or an alliance. How does that work? That seems so cool. I mean, because alpaca live at like 9,000 feet, so I guess the cold weather up there doesn't really affect them too much.
Right, and they have all that fiber. Alpaca fiber is hollow, and it's just as warm, not warmer than wool, but it's much lighter and fluffier. So people use that as an alternative if they're allergic to wool, because alpaca is hypoallergenic. It's not non-allergenic, but much fewer allergens than wool and a little less scratchy.
My wife's got alpaca socks.
Nice.
Back off your socks. I'm showing everybody your cool socks. Get out of here with that. Back up off my socks. So what's the next big step? You said you got the food things you got going on quarterly. You've got up to, would you say 22 different flavors that you guys are working with now across your stills and your sessions? You still going to farmers markets, it looks like, from what I can see on there? No more farmers markets.
No, when we moved everything, the farm is kind of being reestablished, so we don't have a lot of farm products that we can get out, and at that point we kind of backed off the farmers markets to try to actually kind of like focus on getting this place going and work more on distribution.
Got you. Now, I didn't see on your vino shipper, I was looking, and those are really reasonable prices. It looks like there was like 4 packs for like $16, which is a screaming deal. But I did not see any of the bottles on there. Are they not for vino shippers?
No, right now we're still catching up with our distributor on the bottles. Right.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Everything we make currently goes out the door, so we don't have that one ready yet for getting out on vino.
Okay.
Whereas the sessions being a lot younger, it's a lot easier to get the stock piled up. So those ones we have on, so we can start kind of same way we did everything else. Is the sessions kind of start as our, we put our beachhead out in new locations and then kind of work from there.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The fact that you're not sitting on a bunch of stuff and that you have a distribution network that's full enough and robust enough to take what you guys make and produce, that speaks volumes for the people that do like your stuff up there. I mean, because I'm assuming you guys don't distribute out of state.
Not yet. We're actually, we started looking into New Hampshire to try to move out a little bit. At this point we're in
feet and toes in the water.
At this point we're in over 100 locations in the state of Maine.
Whoa.
So yeah, we're kind of in a lot. We're
kind of a big deal.
Saturate Maine, so we kind of figured the next step is we'll start stepping into. I mean, in New Hampshire, I think in that southern tip of New Hampshire, there's 3 or 4 meaderies in probably about a half hour of each other. So that's an area that knows mead, but also there's more people. Yeah, more people with competition. So I don't know where that would land, but I don't know. I feel like anywhere where there's more meaderies draws more people to mead, whereas when you have a lot less meaderies, people don't know what it is and they're scared of it.
Well, and there's Moonlight and Sap House and I guess now Ancient Fires is closed down, so I'm not sure if there's another one in there. That broke my heart when they closed down.
Yeah.
And then
before we opened, we went down and talked to him for a little bit too.
Jason and Margot are such great people.
Yeah, we really appreciated their mead. And actually, we kind of learned about sessions from them.
Yeah, we were just starting to do some sessions ourselves, and that was part of why we wanted to get down there and talk to him, because he seemed like, especially in our area, one of the big producers of it. And that was his major. That was what he did predominantly. He made some bottle strengths, and I believe it was because he felt like he should because he was a meadery, but he didn't. Like all the sessions were just moving.
Yeah,
like hotcakes for him.
That Concord grape one he made, the Cruising on Elm or whatever, like, that was I mean, I couldn't believe how great that was. Yeah, so all right, so expanding the distribution network, moving south. No more farmers markets, at least not for the time being. You got any like inspirations, any people that you're trying to work with or trying to do any collaborations with? I saw online that you guys had talked to. Did you talk to Jeremy from Hierophant, or you saw him at MeadCon? That's what it was.
We watched. We watched his. We did the online one when he was talking about the herbs.
They were the inspiration for Dwarves Conspiracy. Actually, for me, the reason I wanted to add herbs was because I really enjoy theirs.
Yeah. I got to visit there when I hit up Washington State a couple, was it 2 summers ago now? And yeah, I was blown away. You can get all of their a good majority of their herbs that they use in their meads. They have like a little spice rack out in the herb and spice rack out in the on the floor in the tasting room, and you can just go over there and buy like bulk spices. Almost, they have little bags there and everything, and buy them up. So you want to try the same chamomile that we use? Boom. You want the same Turkey Hill mushrooms? Boom. Here we go.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I say definitely you guys should do something like that there, especially if you have your whole own everything going on. That would be a legit idea to steal.
Yeah. We've so we did a braggot collaboration with the brewery down the road for our first farm to table dinner. And we've got another one that we've kind of talked a little bit with another brewery, but we still haven't kind of locked that one in yet. But yeah, I mean, really, it's nice to kind of bounce between some of the other players in the game that are doing different things to kind of show people how we can combine with the other ones. So doing some braggots are a nice way to kind of show beer drinkers kind of where mead is and bring it into the fold some. And then we actually do a mock wit right now. So we do
called Loki's Wit.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's a hopped mead with orange peel and coriander.
I was just going to ask if you did a hopped mead.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the first one we've done. And we busted that out. We did 5 of the beer pouring events in like 3 weeks or something crazy like that. So we made it for those events because it was an easy way to get some beer drinkers to try mead. And
locally grown hops or dry hop?
They were dry hops. There are some places that have them around here, but most of them are the breweries, and so I'd have to kind of get in with them to kind of see which ones to use. So I was just kind of following a recipe that we found and tried to make it work for us and do our own little spin-off on it. So
Can't Even Dog Right Meow is a big fan of that one, it would seem. I love that name too. Can't Even Dog Right Meow. Oh.
Those are our white wine, dandelion wine friends.
Oh yes. So the big part of the collaborating inspiration for the whole thing.
Yep.
Are they commercial mead makers or brewers? No, just reaping all the benefits of your guys' tasty meads.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. They're the tasters. Well, good job tasting this one. Appreciate you guys. Ghost pepper plus honeyberry equals Go Rogue. Is that one that you guys have?
Yep.
That sounds terrifying.
That one has a cult following.
Yeah.
And we can't keep it on the shelf. We don't have any right now.
Yeah, it's not as scary as it sounds.
I can drink it.
Yeah, it's basically we put the ghost pepper in
one shot at a time.
Yeah, when she thinks it's too spicy and I don't think it's spicy enough is when we stop. So we try to get that middle ground because it's really not hard to make something that's going to burn you all the way through. But
right.
I always tell people we would probably sell it to 2 dumb guys that dare each other to drink a bottle, and that would be about it.
Gotcha.
But so we want to make a couple that are a little bit hotter because there is that following, but
Yeah.
Everybody hears ghost pepper and just assumes that they can't even look at it without things burning.
You know, I I usually can do pretty much anything spicy. There's a brand of chips out of Austin, Texas called Pocky. They have this like Mayan logo looking thing. It's very cool looking. They make a ghost pepper chip. That thing is freaking hot. They're the same people that make the one chip challenge. I did that. No, if it as long as it's not as hot as that. I mean, that it wasn't that it was that hot, but oh my gosh, the gnarly indigestion and the heartburn and stuff that I get from the spices, what usually keeps me away from anything with ghost pepper in it anymore. But if you're saying that it's, you know, it's livable, you can survive it without, you know, passing out, I'll take your word on it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's two of the spices that we use that we put in first thing in the morning, and I don't leave until they come out. And it's the ghost pepper and the sage in our strawberry sage mead.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Both of those can go from, okay, it's not quite there, to, oh my God, there's way too much of it in there. So both of those get added in, and they get tasted every 15 minutes until it hits the level we want, and then they get pulled right out.
Yeah, they can go 0 to 60 real quick.
Oh yeah, I mean, of all the spices we use, those are the ones that are the ones you got to be the most careful with.
Well, again, like I said, the rosemary is one that I've seen that is, like, I had a rosemary beer not too long ago, and that was basically like somebody had splashed some beer and some rosemary extract. You know what I mean? It was just so intense, like the Italian grandma would approve of the rosemary in this, you know, and the way it came through here. So I believe you got to certainly have a good eye for the flavor depths that you're trying to pull off through these things. What's something that you guys would want to make that you just haven't gotten around to do it? What's like on the mead making bucket list?
Well, go ahead. I was gonna say the next one I'm working is gonna be a lactamal.
Ooh, something nice and creamy.
Yep. So I've read about them. I haven't done anything with them.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of the ones that I've had, well, really on the book since the beginning of something I wanted to play with. So that one's coming up, and we are trying to work another bracket, just to kind of do a couple different ones, and then you've got a couple ideas.
Well, so in our Nordic cookbook, there's a recipe for a custard with a blackberry soup. The blackberry, it's like a puree, but it has anise in it.
Okay.
It is just such a nice combination. I never thought to do it before, and actually when I first looked at it, I was like, I don't know, but it's phenomenal. So I would like to try something like that sometime.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And we wanted to do one with veterans where every ingredient is provided by a veteran.
Now that could be cool. What, like by a veteran, like farmer that grows something, or just like somebody that's a veteran that just chips in something, like veteran
grows it.
support? Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, we're both veterans. We're part of the Farmer Veteran Coalition, and so we know a lot of farmers around. We've got some ideas.
Now that
we even know a veteran beekeeper.
So you could do this whole thing up, all veterans all the time. Now that's pretty cool. Now you said everything you get. Do you have any ever get any varietal honeys from your beekeepers that send their bees like down south for the winter, so to speak?
So the only one we've used is an orange blossom honey from that.
Okay. So that goldenrod honey you got was local?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, locally we can easily get raspberry, blueberry, goldenrod, and there's 2 beekeepers that I know of right now that do the Japanese knotweed or the bamboo honey.
There's one that does lavender honey too.
Yep, and lavender honey.
Well, probably several.
I know I need to get to Maine now for some good honeys.
Yeah, so there are some options out there. Most of the ones, like the smaller beekeepers, don't have the ability to put it in an area that's going to be populated enough to claim one or the other. So most of what people do is wildflower, and then they'll tell you wildflower, but it was this time of year, so it's more clover based, or it's more knotweed based, or this or that. But Some
Right.
of the ones that have 20 or 30 hives actually get to move around and put it in the center of a blueberry patch down East Maine, and that's all that's going to be there. The blueberry field is big enough that the bees are never going outside of that blueberry patch.
Right. And I can't remember who it was. I had heard, I think it was Josh Holbrook, if you know who he is. He was one of the home brewers of the year a couple years ago from the American Homebrew Association, but he was saying that I think it's either according to National Honey Board or like UC Davis or something that a varietal only has to be like 45% of any one particular blossom to be considered a single variety. So as long as it's 45% blueberries, that can be classified as a blueberry blossom honey, which I was like, man, really not even 50%, but it was definitely lower than 50. It was like 45%.
Right, because the goldenrod definitely has a distinctive flavor. I didn't think I would like it, but it was my favorite.
Very floral.
Yeah, I've never even had something like that. Sounds so unique and amazing. I just got to try sourwood honey for the first time the other day, and I was really, really smitten with that one. It was really good.
Can't imagine what that is. I don't even know what sourwood is. Is that a southern?
I'm assuming it. Yeah, because it was down in Savannah. It was something that they had. I'm sure it is something here locally out in the bayou or something like that. But I did not learn enough about it, unfortunately. I know Tupelo honey comes from this area too, and then palmetto honey. Well, I mean, South Carolina is the palmetto state, and actually, going back to what we were saying at the top of the show here, it's crazy to see like pine trees and palm trees growing in such abundance next to each other. It's like I'm in the middle of a pine forest, and then there's just like all these giant palm trees all around too. That's a total mind fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
some of those southern pines go down there and compete.
Dude, it's
Palm
bananas.
trees up our way.
Oh yeah, I don't think any palm trees are surviving up there. You guys are fighting polar bears, basically.
Getting there.
Getting there. Yeah, no kidding. You guys are like, I heard it was, I think my wife said the other day at Mount Washington down in New Hampshire was like a negative 118 degrees or something, like breaking records.
Yep.
Are you guys surviving up there?
Negative 50 here.
Yeah, it was like upper negative 40s.
Whoa. How do you even at that degrees, man? That's.
Sorry, that was wind chill.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Right.
So was Mount Washington's.
Yeah, that's true. It was more like 20, but the because it was so windy, it felt like almost 50. But thankfully, it warmed back up after that pretty quick. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys are. So it's February. Oh, so you guys' days are probably starting to get significantly longer back up there, because I remember being up in the Seattle area in the winter time. 4 o'clock, 4:30, it's already getting dark. By 5 o'clock, it's pitch black outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to come back around, and like you said, luckily it wasn't a long cold snap. It was about a 24 hours, and in 24 hours we had a 70-degree swing from the wind chill of being below to all the way up into the 30s again. So I
was almost more worried about the swing with the animals going in shock and stuff. They all survived. So.
Well, hey, that's good to hear, man. Definitely don't want any of the animals catching any case off any of this stuff.
No.
So it's Aegir's Den in what part? What's the name of the town in Maine? Palermo, Maine. Anybody that's interested in getting into their session meads, they are selling those on the Vino Shipper at a really, really reasonable price. So go support these cats and buy a 4-pack or 2. And who knows, maybe they'll send you a sticker or something in there with that, sneak in a little surprise. If you're there locally and for some reason you've managed to across this and not know who they are, go stop by their tasting room, pick up a glass, one of these ultra barrel-aged ones, because these things are legitimate. At least this one is. I'm assuming the other ones are equal quality based on what I'm tasting here. Thank you, Mark, Carrie. Appreciate you guys so much for stopping by tonight. And if I ever get to the Maine area, I will definitely be knocking on your door, whether you like it or not.
Hey, that works. Let us know what you think about those other 2 when you get into them.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely. I want to save at least one of them for a share, because I always try to share everybody's stuff. I want to get give yourself a little bit more exposure when I can. But trust me, I'll keep you in the loop.
Awesome.
Enjoy the Charleston area.
I will definitely. You guys have a great rest of your evening. Again, thank you so much for swinging by tonight.
Yeah, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, thank you everybody for swinging in and watching what we had going on. I always love getting to talk to new cats. Like I said, Aegir's Den up there in Palermo, Maine. Mark, Carrie seem to be some great people making some really good tasting meads here. The traditional one, not my personal favorite. Good daily driver. I say like that's a solid 37 right there. It's a solid daily driver. Come home, crack one of those open, you're good to go. This one though, that's competition quality mead right there, and such a unique flavor profile and wonderful color, everything like that. Two people who care about what they're doing, trying to support their community, support veterans, support all sorts of great causes for sexual abuse victims, for sex trafficking victims. So do what you can, support these cats. Go like their page, follow them, subscribe, do all those things if you haven't done that already, because you're doing yourself a disservice for not being aware. And actually, you know what the biggest disservice is? I mean, those are all great things, but I'm going to go back to what I said again at the top of the show. Go check out these people's food pics, man. These people are doing some amazing food, Friday night food things. The food pairing and mead pairing things are cool too. I mean, just like their Friday night, like what they're doing every Friday, got something unique that they're making from local ingredients there, or stuff that they grew themselves, and pairing it up with their meads, like unofficially, because they're selling their meads there as well. Like it just looks so good. It looks so just like home is like you're walking into home with a nice home brewed mead and a nice homemade, risotto or dumplings or meatloaf or chicken fajitas or something like that. So go give these guys some support and some love. Hit up your boy on this over on the YouTube channel. Could always use some subscriptions over there. TK and Drinks, always appreciate that. And I'll be posting this interview over there here in the next day or two. So as always, thank you guys for joining me on this live interview. We'll be getting more of these coming up in the future and getting more back into the regular rhythm of these things. It's been interesting getting these things lined up while I'm out on the road, because wherever I am, don't always have a solid internet connection. So have unfortunately had to bail out on some of these interviews, which I apologize for. But I'm working on it, and I will be getting a more steady line of these things coming up. And like I said, appreciate you guys working with me and bearing with me through these things. So thank you all very much. Have a fantastic evening. Peace.